discovered, and then kind of what was like the series of events that kind of led up to the discovery?
We were going along in life just like everybody else. Everything was great. We had two beautiful kids and a happy family, and they were both involved in sports and doing good in school, and we really just didn't think anything was wrong, which most of us kind of sit around and take that for granted. And that's one of the things that we've learned you can't take for granted. And there were some signs earlier that now that we look back, hindsight's 20/20. So there were some signs earlier that maybe if we could have recognized, we could have maybe done something earlier, but we just didn't know. And you don't, your child has a sniffle, they have a cough, you don't think cancer. So that really didn't pop into mind. But really the event that started the whole ball in motion was one day in practice. It was the beginning of the season and football practice, and we were going through some hitting drills. And Ayden was our hitter. I mean, he was our big tough guy hitter. If we needed a hole, we put him there, and he made a hole. If we needed to stop the run, we put him there. He made the tackle, stop the run. And so hitting drill's nothing for him. Got in our drill formation, went through the drill. He takes a hit. Well, this boy is another stout little boy. He's a little bit shorter than Ayden, so he got a little lower. Hit Ayden in the liver, kind of a midsection shot. Ayden kind of winced and got kind of teary-eyed, and that's not Ayden. And I thought, well, I went over and asked him. I said, Ayden, are you okay? And he said, yeah, Dad, I'm fine. I'll be all right. Just gotta walk it off, because that's what we've taught our kids to do. Get up, walk it off. Suck it up, buttercup. Okay. And so we went through the drill. He didn't hit the next time through, and we went through the rest of practice. Everything was fine. Went home. Everything was fine. That was Tuesday. Had another practice on Thursday. That was fine. Had a game on Saturday. He plays the whole game Saturday, and was kind of complaining about being a little sore, and he wasn't really moving as well as he normally does. Didn't think too much of it. The next Tuesday comes around. Well, he can't hardly get down in his football stance anymore, and he's running a little fever. So we're thinking, oh my gosh, what's wrong here? And the first thing comes to your mind is the flu, or just some type of infection or something. And Thursday came around, it was worse, and he was begging to play in the game. He's like, Dad, I gotta play, I can't let my teammates down. And Ayden's always been a pleaser, and he wanted to please his teammates. He wanted to be there for his teammates. And so, I'm sorry I'm making this a long story. I hope you guys have all day. But, so we get to the game. He plays a few plays. We see that the other team is not real competitive, and so I said, you really don't need to go much longer. I think this is enough. And we get home, and he's complaining about this hurt. And I said, well, let me see. And we feel, we have him pull his shirt up, and we feel it in that area, and it's hard. It's kind of hard as a rock. And it's a little swollen, and it's hot to the touch, and I'm thinking, oh no, we've got mono. And so mono's going through my head, fever that he's had for 3 or 4 days, just a low-grade fever. Now his liver area is hot to the touch and swelling, and so we were thinking mono. And I was hating to break the news to him. Ayden, you may not get to play anymore this year. That was going to be the bad news. At least 2 or 3 weeks. Well, then when I felt, his liver, I thought, oh, maybe he's done some damage playing. And so the worst news in my brain and in Sarah's brain was, the worst thing we were going to have to tell him was, you're done for the season. And this is the 6th grade year. This is the last year you play youth football going into middle school sports. And so we talked to my mom, and we asked her to take him to the doctor to get looked at. Jamie Olbrich is our family doctor. And Jamie took one look at him and said, we're going to the hospital. We're going to do an MRI. So Mom calls us and says, you guys better get out of here. They want to do an MRI. And, well, okay, fine. I guess they want to see if he's, with mono, he thinks spleen and things like that. And So we're a little concerned, but not to the extent that we're about to be. And we go in, he's in the hospital room, we do our scan. The doctor comes in, and she says, "Can I talk to you in another room?" Okay. She said, "We found a tumor." And those words just cut like a knife. I mean, they just, you know, you got 1,000 thoughts go through your head at one time, and you can't piece them all together. And I think we were in disbelief at first, and we said, "Are you sure? You know, is this real?" And so she had, and here, you know, you talk about the perfect storm. I mean, the perfect storm isn't necessarily what you want, but so many things came together right that helped save him. But this doctor that was working at Fitzgibbon that day had done a long internship at Children's Mercy. And she said, I know who to get you in contact with. I think you need to go straight to Children's Mercy. And she sent us on that track. And if it had been someone else, I don't know if it had been the same track. And so, anyway, we get to Children's Mercy, we start doing all these tests, and you know, it just goes from one thing to another.
Yeah.
And
So Sarah, from your perspective, kind of walk us through some of the tests. Once you gone to Fitzgibbon, and he had an initial MRI, now you're at Children's Mercy. Kind of walk us through some of the tests that they've done on Ayden to kind of determine the severity of what he was facing.
They went through, when we got up to Children's Mercy, they immediately took him straight in. They had to do full body scans, MRIs, more in-depth MRIs, 3D imaging type stuff. It's every type of possible scan you could possibly think of, PET scan, MRI, everything. They did all those. Then they had to do a biopsy of the tumor. And when they went in to do the biopsy, because it was such a, so rare for this to occur, they actually took 16 biopsy samples. So it's a long needle that they stick in, and they just keep sticking it like this straight into his tumor to where they can fill up little needles full of his tumor. And they did that 16 times because they wanted to make sure that they had enough so they could diagnose him properly with that.
And so we're sitting in the exam room at Children's Mercy, and she comes in and says, it's cancer. And this was with Sarah and I. And she starts talking about how bad it is. And she said it was, do we want to talk about this now? She said it was hepatocellular carcinoma, and extremely, extremely rare. So that disease is the type of cancer that occurs when an adult has hepatitis, and it's at the final stages of hepatitis. And so, you know, that goes through your head. Oh my God, are you kidding me? We don't have that. And so we did all that testing. None of us have hepatitis, and so none of that wasn't a causing factor. And so here's this adult cancer that happens with hepatitis. None of us have hepatitis, and it occurs in this boy. It's supposed to be an adult cancer, and I think we're going to talk about the odds of that happening a little bit later. But you know, that initial diagnosis was tough.
So